Hello, I'm Jackie Jones of Jones & Associates Law PC, your family fixer. Today, I'm here to talk about the global pandemic that is the coronavirus or COVID-19. And what I've advertised and what we're going to be talking about is what documents you need during this epidemic or pandemic or global crisis or whatever, right? So let's start. I should probably have checked a little earlier to see if I had questions online. So I'm totally going to do that while we're talking. Be my friends. Okay, so let's talk about the first thing. And I think some of us know the first thing that we're all going to say. Do you need a will? The answer is yes. Yes, you do need a will. Why do you need a will? Because tomorrow's not promised to anyone. I am not telling us to be fearful. I am not telling us to not think. I am not even saying that you're going to die from the coronavirus. But anything could happen, and whether it be coronavirus, a secondary infection, whatever else is going on in your life, or just general planning, anything can happen. And so I am going to tell you that yes, you absolutely should consider having a will or a trust if that is the appropriate thing for you. So I'm going to be advising my clients to work on wills and trusts. Because we are self-isolating, social distancing, and quarantining, or whatever any of us are doing, I am not going to be having those meetings in person. I'm going to be conducting them via things like Zoom meeting. I'm sorry, I'm looking also at the computer, and I have all these things going on and try to see if any questions come up. But it's really important that you prepare for the future. So yes, I am going to be looking at things like, do I need to advise my clients to have a will or a trust? And obviously those distinctions are different based on what your assets are, your debts are, your family situation, but you absolutely should be thinking about future planning, and now is a really good time to do it. For one, we can have a Zoom meeting so we can still see each other, yay, but we won't be in front of each other. I am so dramatic. I know. I have coughed today, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I have the Rona." My daughter was like, "I burned the hamburgers. Just close your door." Okay, so I was coughing because of smoke at that particular time, but that does not mean that I wasn't worried. So, a will or a trust may be important. What's something else that you may need? A power of attorney. Well, for people like me, I am the only adult in my household. I live with teenage girls who, by the way, don't drive and can't make any decisions for me. If there were a reason that I were to need medical care or I was unable to make decisions, I need a competent adult who will make those decisions for me. That person would be the power of attorney. So I suggest that you have a power of attorney, someone who can make medical decisions in case something happens to you. That person could be a family member, a friend, a neighbor, someone that you feel close to, but it does need to be someone who is over 18 years of age. Power of attorney can be a permanent fixture or it can be a temporary one. You can stop the powers given to your power of attorney at any time if you choose, or you can have what we call a springing power of attorney. So here's the difference. I generally do durable power of attorneys, which means that from the minute, and Mom, you can pull me up on Facebook. Perhaps you should try me on my Facebook Live for Jones & Associates. Okay, my mom is sending me a message, which means that now what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to go to my regular Facebook page, and I'm going to have to start a watch party because my mother can't get me. And I'm sorry, guys, but we all know, in the grand scheme of things, there is nothing more important than your mama. Okay. Then my father will later be like, well, why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you tell me to check? So yeah. So I am doing all these things at one time. This is so funny because like all of my pages are coming up except for the one that I want, which is going to make my mother even more upset when she looks for this later. Oh, wait, I think I found myself. I think I almost found myself. This is the kind of stuff that happens when you tell your mom to look for you and then you do not tell her where to look and how to look. And this is why my life is difficult. Okay, so I kind of found my page, and I better figure out how to get my mom on here really, really quickly. Or she's going to be really, really upset. Let me just go to my page. So at any rate, sorry guys, I have lost like half my audience because of me and my mama. But at any rate, we talked about having a will or trust. That's really, really important. And in addition to the will or trust, you want to make sure that you have the power of attorney. Now, as I was saying, the power of attorney can be a durable power of attorney, which basically means from this point forward, it is the thing. You can use it right away, or you can, I think this watch party has started with my mom, so let's be like, yay. Okay, so with the durable power of attorney, you can start it right now. It lasts until you tell it not to. Oh my gosh, now I hear myself. That's even worse. Oh my gosh. Anything for my mother. Hope you can see me now, Mom. Okay. Now, a durable power of attorney, you can use it. You can continue to go forward with it. You can use it now. You can use it into the future. It lasts for the rest of your life, unless you decide I'm going to revoke the power of attorney. You could also do something else called a springing power of attorney. Now, lawyers don't use this a lot unless we just want to keep charging people for stuff. But a springing power of attorney is something that basically says when a certain action happens, this power of attorney springs into the rescue. It could be, let's say, when the doctors determine that you are unable to make decisions or that you're in a coma or whatever it is. The reason I don't generally use springing power of attorney is because there usually requires some kind of action for someone to recognize that it has happened in order for the power of attorney to be effective. Now, it could be something as simple as, as soon as I test positive for the coronavirus. No, then it springs into action. But who would do that? So a general power of attorney, a durable one, is what we are often going to tell people to be thinking about. As we've already said, a will or a trust, just not to be morbid, but do it. Power of attorney, because in case you were incapacitated, someone has to make a decision. Remember, if you live with children, for instance, they can't make the decisions for you. So you want to have a competent adult. Hey, Mama, you want to be my power of attorney? Say what? Just type in the comments, Mommy. Mommy, type in the comments so I know you'll be my power of attorney. So this is the stuff. One of the other things that you have to consider is something like a guardianship. Okay, why am I saying a guardianship? You may have a situation where you have children who need to be taken care of. Now, you're not going to go through a formal court guardianship in the midst of an emergency. Why? For one, if you're the one who's injured, you are down. You can't do it, which means someone else has to go into court and they have to make this happen. Not only does it cost you 10 times as much as it would to do some sort of work ahead of time, but the courts are closed and closing all over the area. So let's talk about the fact that Montgomery County Court, Chester County Court have already closed for a couple of weeks. They said effective Friday. Philadelphia Court just got their emergency designation from the Supreme Court. They're closed until April 1st. Delaware County is closed Monday and Tuesday. Today and tomorrow. However, our president judge has apparently applied to allow us to be one of the places that will also have an emergency declaration, which means if you are listening, everyone, call Judge Kelly and tell him Jackie needs to stay home. You need to close these court for 2 weeks. I'm sorry, my puppy's in the background and she's sneezing. So the long and short of it is things like official guardianships are going to be difficult. The other thing is powers of attorney, wills, trust, those things are going to be difficult right now too because you generally need a notary. And you have to be careful because notaries may not be traveling now, or you may not want to go in places, and you may not want to be out in public, and there's essential and non-essential services. Yes, some of these things are essential. If you're on your deathbed, this may be considered essential to have like a will, a trust, whatever. Now, let me tell you a little known secret in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania has something called a holographic will. Now, I see several attorneys on the call with me. Type in the definition of a holographic will. You'll get points. Think of this as a bar examination. I see at least one person on this call who took the bar examination with me at the same time, so I know you know. But basically, a holographic will is all written in your own handwriting. So a lot of us tend to type things up. We want to look very formal. I've typed it all up. Fine. But what makes a holographic will different and what makes it legal without the notary is that someone has written it all in their own hand. No typing, 100% handwritten, and it can still be a legally valid will because you dispose of your property and things, and without the necessity of the witnesses, without the necessity of the notary. Is that something I usually tell people to do? Well, absolutely not. Because one, y'all don't know what you're doing. Two, you could make a mistake. It's very difficult to file, to get all the elements right. But it's a way that you can say, here are my wishes. Here's what I want to happen in case of emergency. Again, I'm telling you all the morbid stuff first, the wills, the trusts, the emergency guardianships, the power of attorney, all that kind of thing. Now, here's another type of guardianship that you can try. Pennsylvania does have a statute that allows for what we call a standby guardianship. I use it when I go on a trip or when a friend of mine or someone asks me to watch their kids while they're away. Standby guardianship does not need to go into the courts at all. It is essentially a document that you sign, and if you type in Google standby guardianship PA, forms come up for it. It's very simple, and basically you are saying this person has the right to act in my stead as the guardian of my child until such time as X. X is usually until I get back on vacation or whatever it is that I'm doing, right? But just keep in mind, those things are all ways that you can protect your family as we're dealing with this whole corona-ish crisis. And I guess it's not corona-ish, it's straight up corona. There are a couple of other things to think about, whether they be documents or just thinking about things. Some of them, for instance, have to do with your children. So I am probably going to do a couple of Zoom meetings because I'm off work and I totally need to talk to people who are not 16 or 17 years old and who do not say things like, Mommy, are they canceling the junior prom? Mommy, is my whole school year going to be over, which means I don't have the Keystones because I don't want to take the Keystones. Or, Mommy, we don't have 8 weeks of food. We need to go to the market again. No, we don't. No, we don't. We have plenty. Leave me alone. So I'm probably going to do a couple Zoom meetings on a few things, but let's touch on some of them now because these are documents that you may need or information you may need. So what we're going to do is I'm telling you about all these documents now, and then I'm going to set up Zoom meeting teleconferences where you can log in, talk to me like in a video conference session along with other people and ask questions about specific documents and specific things that you need to do. So one of these is going to be, for instance, custody. You know, I already did a video on custody during the coronavirus. Now, as I've said, and I've had to talk already to several clients who have high intensity, high conflict custody cases, that now is not the time to play your games, okay? Now is not the time for you're only supposed to have 3.5 hours and you were there for 4.5. No. Now is not the time for I'm taking my child to Judy around the corners because I have to work when the other parent is home and could watch the child and be quarantined. So one of the things you want to do is that a lot of our custody agreements say that the parents can modify the custody order in writing. We often tell people to send emails, to send text messages, do that thing. But we can do something called a custody stipulation. What is that? It essentially changes the custody order, either permanently or for a partial period of time, to allow for it to still be the official order, even though the court may have ordered something else. So if the court ordered that the child is going to be with mom Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and dad Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, and they alternate Sundays or whatever your custody order says, but you all realize that because of the coronavirus or the schedule, that it makes more sense to have the child in one home for a period of 4 to 7 days or however you want to do it, and not to exchange as frequently, or to allow one child to stay all day with the other parent because that parent is not working and the daycares are closed. Now is the time to enter into a custody stipulation and do that. Why do I say it? Because another attorney and I spent really good billable hours today. Thank you, because my kids need money coming up next month too, right? But on the phone with each other and with parents negotiating over how they would deal with the exchange of this child during this trying time. I personally don't think that you want to spend every time, well, I need you to meet me here and do that. I don't think you want to spend every time with your lawyers doing that. You can make an agreement. You can write a custody stipulation. It can become an order of court if need be. so that your child can have a change in schedule either temporarily or permanently as we face the coronavirus. Additionally, one of the things that we're going to need to talk about is child support. For many of us, not working means not getting paid. I know a lot of people work in larger companies, and that idea of paid leave has been talked about a lot. I see another one of my clients on who also owns a business like I do, which means if he's not out there, in his case, being a plumber and doing his work, or I'm not out there in courts doing my work, people aren't paying us to do nothing. Now, I at least have some documents and things I can draft, or some little bit of things that I can do. But ultimately, if the courts stay closed, my income goes down. The same is with people in other service industries. If you have to go out to people's houses and people are afraid to have someone in their house unless it's a true emergency, their income goes down. And so a lot of people are thinking, what happens with my child support? If you are the person receiving child support and you find yourself in a situation where you can no longer afford what you used to because of that, you may be entitled to some special benefits that the state is still working out, because they haven't worked it all out yet as far as Medicaid for children or adults, as well as emergency food stamps and things like that. If you are the person who is paying support, you will find yourself in a situation where you could get behind on support and be facing contempt. That is also a really important issue, because obviously you don't want to be found in contempt of court when you have absolutely no income, and you may not have any income specifically because you're not able to work. So one of the things you want to do is talk to your attorneys about what you can do. The courts may find themselves in a position where they have to temporarily abate orders or temporarily suspend enforcement of orders. Based on people who have been affected by the novel coronavirus. We don't know yet. Generally speaking, if I'm not working for a little bit, it doesn't give you a full stop on enforcement. However, this is not I'm not working. This is the state is not working. This is the state is closed down. If I depend on being out to do my job to make money, and the governor has ordered that I not go out, and I'm legitimately following the governor's order, then I think that we're going to be in a position where, as attorneys, we're going to be in court in the next couple of months trying to let people know how we can better deal with their problems and how to better deal with their losses. So I have been talking for a minute and I am loving it. But what I want to do is encourage everyone on the line to just drop a note in, tell me what you think of the information so far, or ask me any questions that you have. I don't want to just give out information. I want to actually have an interactive conversation, because sometimes what happens is that we have these thoughts about here are the things that have to be done, and we don't realize until we talk to our clients, so we talk to other people, that there are some other worries that they have that we don't know about. Today I was talking to someone, I realized, I'm like, hey, you have this, and this going. And I'm thinking, well, you sent me the information. Surely you understand. But I realized they did not understand it because they had never experienced it before. And so what I'm asking is for all of you to tell me what you need to know, what you're wondering about, what you think will help you as you deal with this. So I'm going to give you a few minutes, and I'm going to let you drop your comments here. So comment, even if your comment is high, because I get so lonely. Nobody wants me to be singing, because this is what happens when you're home for days with teenagers. This is day one. I mean, but I was home Friday. Well, no, I was at work on Friday. But when I came home Friday, they were already going through the snacks. Saturday, Sunday. Somebody, just a human, interact with me. Type a message. Say hello. Comment, please. I'm going to see if anybody's coming in my watch party, because I have a watch party too. I told y'all I had this watch party so my mama could find me. Okay, let's check. Where am I? I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to do that. I thought I knew how to do that. Yeah. So I also thought I knew how to go on live on Instagram. I do not. I really don't. But you know, I can invite people to this. I'm going to invite some people. Hey, people. What y'all doing? Hey. So at any rate, this is the stuff that happens when I'm left alone for way too long. Hey, puppy. Oh, Don't do that, Mila. This is my puppy, Mila, who I love. And you see, she loves the camera. Mila, Mila, come on, don't show off. Mila, don't show off. Look, say hi to the people. Yeah, isn't she adorable? She's so adorable. She's quarantined with mommy. She also sometimes quarantines with my youngest daughter because she makes the most food. And so she loves her when she's cooking. But Mila has been waiting for her chance to get on the live for a long, long time. But at any rate, so let's recap. You will need a will or a trust. If you don't have one, you need one anyway. Just do it, people. I need to do it too. I totally need to update all my stuff. My daughter mentioned to me recently. I was like, oh, something happens. And she's like, am I going to go with so-and-so? I was like, no. She's like, I said, well, where do you, she's like, you're the adult. Like, don't you have a will that says where we go? And I was like, oh, I got told by a 16-year-old. Okay. Wills or trust if you need them. Powers of attorney, and you probably need them. If you don't have someone who can make decisions on your behalf, if you're the only grown-up in the house, please, 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 power of attorneys. You can have one for healthcare. You can have one for financial matters. You can have one that's joint. I'm starting to do them separately now. I used to do a big joint one, and I'm doing them more separately now for a lot of reasons. You may need some sort of guardianship, whether it be a standby guardianship. Remember, I said standby guardianships you can do on your own, on the spur of the moment, very easily, or at some point maybe a formal guardianship if it comes to that. You may need to do a custody stipulation specifically to deal with changes to your custody order during this heightened pandemic. And finally, you may have to do something to change up the way your child support works as a result of being out of work. So if I don't see any new comments, and I don't see any new comments right now, I want to thank you all for joining us. I will be available if you have questions. And again, I'm going to probably do a Zoom meeting to answer your specific questions in an interactive forum where we can see and talk to each other and we can go through these things more specifically. So be on the lookout for that. So again, I'm Jackie Jones of Jones & Associates Law, PC, your family fixer. And while this is going on, you make sure that you stay safe. And it was so great seeing all of you virtually anyway. Have a great night. Bye-bye.